we have a question that was emailed in this morning. So we can see that this is a, let's say, a 1, 2, and 3 signal question here, I guess, for lack of a better way of describing this. So I already have a chart already laid out here, ready to go. Take a moment and explain the question. So, all right, so from this screenshot, it looks like this vertical line here is probably the first signal here. So we have the fast stochastics above the 50 line, and it looks like the dashed white line would be the 50 line. So we have the stochastics above it, and let's see here. So we got the stochastics crosses above its 50 level, and then B, it retraces. So yeah, we definitely have a little retracement in this area, a little pullback in the stochastic fast. And then the third requirement, which is actually kind of two components here, a reversal bar. So if we look, we're using the UniRenko. So we do have a reversal bar here, and we can see a little the green long arrow marking the spots. So we do have a reversal bar up there, and then also the stochastic. Let's see, and also the stochastic is still above the 50 level when that reversal bar happens. So there we go. All right, so signal number 1, and then the second and third signals is we need the first requirement is we need the stochastic above the 70, and we can see the dashed black line would be the 70 line. So our stochastic is definitely above that. And then essentially we're just looking for 2 additional reversal bars afterwards, right? So there's a first reversal bar and then a secondary reversal bar there. Yeah, and let's see, yeah, it looks like that third one is just above the 70 level. So, and then that's it. So after that third reversal bar, we want to block all of the remaining signals after that. So let's see, until the reset. So it's very good here. So Neil included, this question was from Neil, so he included the reset requirement here. So the long sides are reset when the stochastic reaches a value of 30. So we need basically a nice deep, I guess, move down on the stochastics to hit that 30 level. And then after that, long signals would be allowed again. So, all right. Well, with that, let's get building here. Actually, let me first find some areas on my chart. Shouldn't be too hard to find. First, so, all right. So I have a reset there. That square is awful small, so let's just draw a little circle there. There we go. All right, so we have a reset occurring, and then that would be our first signal right there. Then let's find there would be a second signal. Let's see, that would be a third signal. Yeah, all right. So there we go. There's something to work with. And if I remember back here, we had a nice downtrend. So we should be able to find some short signals. Yeah, here we go. So let's see. All right, we're below the 50. We have a little pullback in the stochastic. So there we go. First short signal this does look like the stochastics below 30. So there's a second, and there is a third. All right, let's mark the reset. Oh, there we go. Well, actually, this actually would not be the reset. The reset probably should be way back here. Here we go. So that would be our reset. There we go. The stochastic going above 70, way back there. So that would be the reset, allowing short signals to take place again. And let's go back here. So I want to find the proper reset location for the long signals. Yeah, there we go. So there's where the stochastic first goes below 30. So let's mark that as our proper reset location there. All right, there, we'll mark this just to add a little more clarity here. I think that should be good enough there. Okay, so with that, let's get our screenshot out of the way, and let's get BloodHound opened. I'll squeeze the chart up here a little bit so we can see those rules. There, now let's get BloodHound open, and let's get started. Let's see. All right, first thing we want to do is let's enter a file name here. So let's see, we'll take last week's file name and just change to date. There we go, 25th. All right, we have our BloodHound file name in there. There we go. So I'm going to start working on the logic board here. So switch over to the logic tab right there. And let's make a new logic template. We'll click the new button there. Let's see. Let's see if there was a name given to this. No, doesn't look like it. All right. There we go. StochasticFast reversal bars. I guess 2, 3 for 1, 2, and 3 signals. Okay. I guess that'll work. All right. So, the first thing I like to start with here when starting to build something is, start with the easy stuff, right? Get your, just to get things flowing. Instead of trying to tackle, you don't have to tackle, the first thing first. You can just take whatever looks easy and make that the first thing component that you want to tackle, right? There's no requirement to build stuff in order. You don't have to build the first signal first and then the second and third signal second. You can build stuff in any order you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down here to rule number 3 and build the reset component, right? That's really simple. This reset essentially is just whenever the stochastic is going to be below 30 or above 70 for a short. So here we go. A short reset is based on the stochastic above 70 there. All right. So we'll do that. That'd be the easy part there. So so there's I have a couple of choices for this. If I wanted it, I could set the reset to occur on this bar when the stochastic crosses below the 30 or above the 70, or I could use a threshold solver and identify the whole time. I can identify every bar that the stochastic is below 30 here, like so. There's 2 ways to do that. So this time because we're dealing with 2 levels here, we're dealing with a 30 level and we're dealing with a 70 level as our resets, as our reset levels. If I did a crossover, right? If I identified this crossover bar or that crossover bar, that would require 2 crossover solvers because we're dealing with the 70 level, which would be 1 crossover solver, and then we're dealing with a 30 level on the stochastic, so that would require a second crossover solver. So I can do this with one solver by using the threshold. All right, so instead of using two crossovers, I'm gonna take the easier route and use one threshold solver. So I'll start with this here, and I'll plug that in. All right, so let's give this a name. All right, so this is a StochasticFast, and it is a 3070 reset. And if we want, we can even put like a number 3 in the name to go along with the rules here, right? So number 3 is our reset condition. All right, so we have a name. Next, let's put our indicator in here. And let's go find that StochasticFast. There it is. All right, we do have some modified settings for this, so it is 3 and 100. So there we go, 3 and 100. And let's see, this is using the %D plot there, so that's already selected for us. That's the default, so we're good there. All right, next step is let's plug in our threshold levels. So we're dealing with 70, 70, and then we're dealing with 30 here. Now you can't have, now the threshold solver values, the threshold values here have to be in descending order, right? So in other words, basically 0 is less than 30. So that is not allowed. You'll get weird results if you do that. So the values from A to E have to be in descending order. So we can't go from 70 to 0 and then back up to 30. So we'll just have to fill this in with some values in the middle, like so. All right. So we'll go from 30 up to 50 and then up to 70, something like that. So. And then let's plug in the output here. So let's see here. So the 30 level is used as a reset for long signals. Now there's really no right or wrong way to decide what output to use, but typically the way function nodes, the default settings for resetting function nodes here. So because that's what this reset's going to be used for. This reset's going to be used for resetting some of these function nodes. And typically the default setting for the resets on these function nodes is that a short I don't know, I'll just draw a little square there. You know, for resetting longs, typically a short signal is the default reset. So I'm going to set this up so that when the stochastic is less than 30 here, we're going to get a short signal out like so. Right, so there we go. We have a short signal. So this short signal here, or this short output, will be the reset. So these short outputs here will reset whatever function nodes we decide to use when we're counting these 1, 2, and 3 signals here. And then I'll use a long. We'll get a long output here. So whenever that stochastic goes above 70, that'll be our long output. That'll be the reset for short signals. Right. So, all right, yeah, so this one's done. Right, that one was a piece of cake. So next, I guess next we'll start tackling the real signals here. So first signal, we need the stochastic above 50 here. So yeah, so let's check for that. So let's grab another threshold here. And let's put a name in here. All right, so we're checking to see if we're above or below the 50 level. All right, and let's plug in our StochasticFast indicator. There we go, and change the setting here, 100, so 3 and 100. And again, this system is only using the %D plot, so that's all set for us. We're good to go. All right, so the only thing we're interested in is the 50 level. So we're just going to plug 50 into all of these levels here. And then when the stochastic is greater than 50, right, we're interested in finding long signals. And then if the stochastic is below 50 or less than 50 here, then the rules say we want to look for shorts. All right, so this is basically like a filter, right? Think of it as a trend filter, but yeah, in this case it's more precisely, I'd say, a signal filter here, right? So this makes sure that when we're looking for these reversal bars, that our stochastic is above the 50 here. So remember that that's above the 50 is required for the first setup, but the second and third setup has to be above 70 here. So, which actually, you know, we could use this solver here. Remember this solver, if we plug that in, right, that tells us when the stochastic is above 70 or below 30 here. So you know, looking at this again, this is a little more universal. It's not just rule number 3. So I'm going to take that out of the name here. So let's just call this the stochastic, you know, 3070 there, like so. So yeah, that'll work. All right. So this solver here is both going to be our filter for the second and third signals, and it's also our reset as well. All right, let's see here. So next step. All right, so we have the stochastic above the 50 level. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, we may have to go back and use a crossover solver here to identify this first signal here. Maybe not, I'm not sure yet. Well, I guess we'll figure this out as we start building here. But the next requirements here is we're looking for these retracements, right? These pullbacks here. So we have our stochastic above the 50. So we're looking for a reversal down on the stochastic and then a reversal up on the stochastic, right? So this is what we're looking for, this reversal back. Well, actually, no. Well, it says a retracement. So actually, what we're looking for is this reversal down. So that way we know that the stochastic is in a retracement. Yeah, so if we go by the rules as they're written, we're just looking for a retracement. So we're just looking for the down move in the stochastic. And then we're looking for a reversal bar after that. So it doesn't say that the stochastic actually has to reverse back in the direction of the trade. It just says we need this retracement part. So let's look for this, basically this reversal of the stochastic, all right, this reversal down. And then we'll look for the reversal in the bars afterwards, right? So, all right, yeah. So here's requirement number 1 is our stochastic is above 50, above 50. And now let's look for that reversal down, and then we'll look for the reversal up bar. All right. So all of these reversal points can be found using the inflection solver. So this one will be the StochasticsFast inflection here. So let's just go plug that in. All right, and change the period settings there. Again, we're only looking at the %D, so that is good. That's already set up. And there we go. Okay, so we have our reversals. Now, we want all the outputs, since we're building this for a long signal here. We're looking for this reversal down, right? But we need a long output, not a short output, right? Because we're building a long signal at this point, right? Now, looking at this reversal up, we think, oh, well, there's a long signal there. That should do. Well, maybe this would do. I don't really know. I can't really count on that. I know that I am looking for this reversal down, because when the stochastic reverses down, I know that the stochastic is then forming the retracement for rule B there, right? So this reversal down the stochastic, I need a long output there. So that's where this point on the stochastic is what I'm looking for B, not the reversal up afterwards. I'm looking for that. So what I'm going to do is reverse the outputs here, like so. So I'm going to take slope in direction, turn that off, and use slope against direction, and turn that on. So, all right. So now we can see there is my long, right? There's my long. So, yeah. And let's see here. So, I think now we can start using a AND node here. So let's plug this stuff in. All right. So we know at this point, A and B have been completed. We have A and B, and so now we're just looking for C. Yeah, we're just looking for C now. So now the thing is, we don't know how long it's going to take for C to set up. Let's kind of scan through here. It's good to take some observational looks at the market here to see what kind of things the market likes to do. So I guess let me kind of back up here. So we have this screenshot, which was sent in with a nice, perfect, ideal trade setups, right? But does the market always behave perfectly like that? No, not necessarily, right? So it could be that the market might make this huge move up, and then a huge pullback for the first signal, right? The market is not always going to give you this nice, clean, couple bar pullback and then keep on going. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I'm kind of looking for this kind of move here, but without this pullback. Just checking to see if that really does ever happen. Yeah, here we go. So let's see right here. So we had this, the stochastic is above the 50 now. Nice, fairly long move up, but here's what I'm looking at, this huge pullback. Right, we have quite a number of bars on this pullback, and then we get that reversal up bar, and the whole time the stochastic is above 50 there. So what this is telling me, right, is that we don't really know how many bars of a pullback we might get, right, and we still have the stochastic above 50. So that will affect our logic, right? So we can decide that we could build a logic that says there's only a limited number of pullback bars. If we get too many pullback bars, then that invalidates the trade. But that was not specified in the rules, so we'll just build this for any number of pullback bars here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change things a little bit. So instead of actually using an inflection solver, I'm gonna use a slope solver instead here. So I'm going to look for the stochastic to be sloping down, right? I know that if the stochastic is sloping down, then it could be forming that pullback. Right? It could be forming that pullback there. So I'm going to grab a slope solver instead. Let's plug that in to the result node there. And let's give this a name. There we go. So stochastic fast slope. And let's set that indicator in there. There's our indicator. Let's add it. Change the period. All right, our %D is selected. All right. So in this case, when that stochastic is sloping down, all right, that's telling us that this could be a pullback. But again, we're using this sloping down to generate a long signal, right? This sloping down, this pullback, is used to generate a long signal. So I need to reverse my output from short to long. So if we look at the outputs here, we're going to turn off the output in direction. Right, so you can see it says output in direction. We'll turn that off. And we're going to use the output against direction, like so. There. All right. So there we go. Now, when the stochastic is moving down for a pullback, we're getting a long output. So if we connect this up, there we go. So I think this is going to be a little easier to work with here. So now we can see all of these pullback bars are being identified here. And what we need to do now is just extend the signal forward one extra bar, one additional bar, and to get that reversal bar. So to do that, I can simply use, so I think I'm going to use a signal extender in this case. Yeah, I'm going to use a signal extender. And it just so happens I have a good example. If we take a look here, see right here, our stochastic slid below the 50, just a couple of bars before, before we had a reversal bar, before the trend continued here. Just before it, right? And so if that stochastic slides below the 50, then we wouldn't want to generate the first signal if this occurs here. So let's see if we can actually find an example. And actually, I think we actually have an example there. Let's see. Well, actually, it says the D is on the 50. So, let's go make some adjustments here. Like so. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking this threshold level here. You see this threshold level. I had greater than 50 marked. So I'm also going here and marking the at 50. So that way we have 50 or equals, equals 50 or greater. So. Let's see. Oh, actually, interesting. Well, actually, I guess the rules here just says above its 50 level. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't make that assumption here. Okay, so we're just going to have to say that it's greater than 50 here. So I'm going to leave it the way it was, greater than 50, right? So, and we can see here that BloodHound is actually telling us, so let me stretch this out here. On this one particular bar, NinjaTrader it looks like NinjaTrader is rounding the stochastic up to 50, but BloodHound doesn't do any rounding. So, what BloodHound's telling us is that the stochastic is actually a little bit below the 50. It's a fraction below the 50. It could be 49.9 or something like that. But what we can see here, NinjaTrader is rounding that stochastic value up to 50. So, okay, so this is actually a perfect example here. So we had our stochastic moving, right, crossing above 50. We get our pullback, but the stochastic just before the reversal bar, the stochastic dips below 50. So we want to make sure that this kind of fails that trade setup here. All right, so technically speaking, this doesn't quite qualify here. Yeah, it doesn't quite qualify for Rule A there. So, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it doesn't quite qualify for Rule C. There we go. So, back to the point I was making. The reason why I'm using the signal extender is so that if we do get a situation like this, that a signal doesn't occur, right? So in other words, if the stochastic does dip below 50, I can use that to reset the signal extender. And we'll show how to do this here. So we only need to extend forward for 1 bar. Like so. And shoot, it's too bad the reversal bar didn't actually happen on the same right there. Yeah, so this isn't a perfect example, but we're going to take this signal extender and we're going to use the reset signal here. So I can take this. It's interesting. So both of these stochastic solvers can be used as resets as well. So they're both kind of filters. All right, we're making sure that the stochastic is above or below 50 or above or below 70 and 30, but they're also used as reset conditions as well. So what I'm going to do, right, so coming out of this threshold solver, right, we can see we have this short signal when that stochastic dipped below 50 for 1 bar. So that will be used as our reset to the signal extender. And yeah, so there we go. So if you noticed, the signal extender turned off on that bar. Right? So if I disconnect this reset, there we go. So here's the signal extender with no reset, and we can see we have an output on that bar, right, looking for the reversal bar. So it just so happened, this wasn't a perfect setup, but we'll just have to imagine that, this was a reversal bar there. So if this was a reversal bar, but our stochastic was below 50 on that, we wouldn't want that signal, not quite. So taking our threshold solver as a reset, plugging it into the reset, it got rid of that signal, or it got rid of the signal extension on this 1 bar here. Right, so basically we made sure that we're making sure that we're not going to get our first signal setup if that stochastic dips below 50 here when it's making its retracement. So, all right, let me move forward on the chart and take a look here. Oh, actually, I did have, yeah, I thought this was set up wrong. So, you notice how our signal is not being extended forward 1 bar. It's not being extended onto the reversal bar. So, I do actually have the wrong reset turned on here. So let's turn the reset signal, set that to false. And what we want is we want the reset opposite signal. There we go. There we go. Reset opposite signal. Perfect. So now we can see, so there's our pullback, and then we have a signal on the reversal bar here, on that reversal bar. Let's stretch this out a little bit. There we go. So we have our pullback, 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 and then we extend the signal one extra bar to find that reversal bar. Now, if we scroll back, let's scroll back to this spot we were looking at. Yeah, here we go. Okay. And great. So I just want to make sure, right? Our pullback output, right, is kind of like, well, our pullback signal it's still not being extended forward onto the reversal bar. So it just wanted to confirm that. So this all looks good. All right. So what we're looking at is basically the setup part. So we're looking at the setup part for rule A and B, right? And now we just need to add rule C here. We just need to confirm. We need to confirm the reversal bar. So let me take this inflection solver here that I have set up. Yeah, so I have this inflection solver set up for the stochastic, but let's actually reuse it for looking for a reversal bar. So we'll look for a price inflection, or in other words, aka a reversal bar. So what we'll do is just change the type. So instead of looking for an indicator value, we're going to change the type to price. So we'll look at the price bars instead. There we go. And that's right. Remember, I had reversed the outputs. So right, we're getting a short signal on this reversal up bar, right? So our outputs here are reversed. So I just need to put that back here. So let's turn off the slope against direction, and we're going to use the slope in direction. Turn that back on. There we go. Okay, so there's that. And so this signal extender, again, what this is giving us is the setup for, let's see, for 1A and B. All right, for 1A and 1B. So that's the setup for 1A and 1B. And then this price inflection would be, we want to put some numbers in here, that would be 1C. There. Although, remember, 1C, it's the reversal bar with the stochastics above the 50 level, right? So if we just want to absolutely confirm that and make sure that's true, what we can do is we have this threshold solver, right? That identifies when the stochastic is above or below the 50 value. So I could, let's move this down here like so. So what I could do is take this AND node, like so. So with the price inflection and our threshold solver, right, we can filter out these reversal bars whenever the stochastic is above the 50 level. Right? So, and so we've added an extra layer of kind of double checking here. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, to build this, precisely as it's written here, we've added this extra layer of filtering, I guess you could say. For the most part, it's probably unnecessary because remember, we took our signal extender and we built our signal extender with a reset condition, right? So basically, our signal extender, which is the setup for 1A and 1B, this signal extender, it gets turned off if the stochastic goes below 50. So, this might be a little redundant here, but it's better to be safe than sorry, right? Let's see here. So, yeah, actually we just need to plug this into the ANT node. And there we go. That should do it. So let's name this here. All right, so that is our first signal. So yeah, so that's our first signal. Now we can see, right, so we're getting a bunch of signals firing off afterwards here. So we will need to make sure that only the first signal gets through, and we want to block all these extra signals afterwards. Right, we want to block all those until our stochastic gets below the 30 line here, right? Our stochastic needs to get below that 30 line. So let's work on that part. And let's see, essentially the easiest way to do that is we'll just use the signal blocker. This is exactly what the signal blocker is designed for. It's default. The signal blocker's kind of default settings are to, let's stretch this out here. There we go. So the signal blocker, its primary design is to allow the first signal through and then block all the rest until some kind of reset condition happens, right? So in other words, we have rule number 3 is our reset condition, and we'll use that to reset the signal blocker, right, to allow that first signal to go through again. So let's plug this in here to the input. Like so. All right, time to start moving some of these around here. And one little trick here that you can do. So if I wanted to, I could, take this and stick that way out there across like that. But what I could also do is, remember these nodes here, they're just they're just representatives. So what I could do is I could go to my existing nodes, and here we go. Here's our stochastic 3070. I could add another node, and now both of these guys, they're the same node, but we're just seeing them twice on the chart, right? So if I change one, it's going to change the other. They're both the same. They're both the same node. They're both the same object, but just visually represented twice. And so that way I can just have a nice, cleaner kind of look if I do this. So, all right, so let's zoom in here. There we go. And let's kind of figure out some settings for our signal blocker. So let's see. First thing, well, actually no. Let me back up here. So I guess we're gonna have to kind of take a guess on how many bars we need to block the signals for. So let's start with something like 100. So that's probably kind of low for Renko bars, but it's a starting point here. So plug something in there, and then the next thing is we need to figure out what resets do we want it turned on, right? So let's take a look at our threshold solver that is performing the reset for us. So let's take a look at that again. Let's plug that into the reset there. All right. So looking back on the chart, so what is our reset? Here we go. This is our reset here, right? When that stochastic goes below the 30. Right, looking at rule number 3, when our stochastic goes below 30, that is our reset. So we can see here we're getting a short output, right? A short output. A short output is our reset signal. And if we scroll back here, again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to reset long signals here, right? So our reset signal is opposite of what's being blocked. What's being blocked? We're blocking these long signals here, but it's a short signal that's gonna reset the signal blocker. So we're interested in the resets here, right? So we have a couple of reset options, right? So we don't want the reset signal, and we don't want the input. We're not using the input either. What we are looking for is the reset opposite signal. Yeah, so again, if you remember, our signal extender back here was using the reset opposite signal, and it just so happens that our signal blocker is also using the reset opposite signal as well. So if you notice on the chart here, all these extra signals disappeared. Right, they disappeared as soon as I got my resets set up correctly. As soon as I got my resets identified correctly. So let's take a look at the chart so far. See what we have. Right, so our first signal, perfect. No more signals afterwards. Except right there. So looking at this, we probably reached 100 bars. So it's looking like 100 bars is not quite enough. So let's go back to our signal blocker, and I guess let's up this to 200. There. All right, now let's take a look. And all right. Oh, look at that. We even have, yeah, we had a setup here for a first short signal. Yeah. Our stochastic is, there we go, our stochastic's below 50. Remember the dashed line, actually I'll make this a little thicker here. So, there we go. Dashed line is the 50 level. So we did get a little pullback. Yeah, we got a little pullback in our stochastic, and then a reversal bar and a short signal. So great. So things are starting to look really good now. All right, let's kind of scan back here. Let's see. Yeah. So let me mark the reset. All right, so there's our reset there. So that resets the long signals. Remember this actually setup failed here, and let's see, yeah, this is too deep of a pullback. So there we go. That would be kind of our first signal there. Yeah. All right. And again, here's a, yeah, this is a reset right here as well. Our first, yep, our first signal looks good. Interesting. So here's like a first short signal. Actually, I'm wondering. Yeah, I'm wondering, that actually looks like that would be the first signal right there. So maybe the signal blocker's not blocking for long enough. Let's take a look back. Oh, yep, there we go. So, oh yeah, there's my arrows marking the signal. So that would be the first one. And let's see. So the stochastic is not setting up yet. So looking through here, our stochastic hasn't. So stochastic hasn't crossed 70 yet to reset our shorts. So it's telling me that 200 bars isn't quite enough. Isn't quite enough number of bars to block these first signals. So let's take care of that. So signal blocker. All right. So I guess to be safe, let's go up to 300 there. So all right. Now keep in mind with the signal blocker, high numbers require a lot of processing power. So when we have this set to 300 bars, what that requires BloodHound to do is on every bar, every bar that we go forward. All right, so I'm at the beginning of the chart. So every bar that's being made, BloodHound has to look back 300 bars, and yeah, it has to look back 300 bars. So high numbers here can have a really can have an impact on the processing time, right? That's that BloodHound that's required to block for 300 bars. So so don't go crazy on setting high numbers here with the signal blocker. Try and keep this as low as possible, within reason, so that at least you're getting the signals being blocked properly, but without going too high, versus just going, I'll just throw 3,000 in there. That'll cover everything, right? Well, sure, that'll cover everything, but also that'll just require just that much extra processing time to process 3,000 bars, looking back 3,000 bars every time a new bar forms. So, right, so I think 300 ought to be good enough for now. All right, let's scroll back here, and here we go. All right, so this that signal is now gone. So actually, I think it was. Let's see, it was either here or there. In any case, it's gone. So, all right, so there's our first short signal. Right, so the stochastic was above 70 for quite a while, then it dips below 50 and gives us that first signal setup. Looks good. Let's scroll back on the chart. Let's see. Yeah, stochastic goes above the 50. We get our little pullback and a first signal. First long, and there's no other long signals here. Yeah, looks good. All right. Yep, that looks like a nice, clean, short signal right there. Looks good. All right, stochastic goes above 50. A little pullback on the stochastic. First signal looks good. All right, looks good. All right, let's see here. So we got two short signals, and why is that? Actually, that's okay. So our stochastic goes above 70, so that resets the short signals again. So yeah. So there we go. First short, then we get a reset and a second short. Looking good so far. And let's see here. So we have a short. First short, our stochastic is below 30, so that's resetting for the longs. And this first one, yeah, that stochastic definitely went below 50 there. And so there's our first, our first signal long. Looks good. Let's see. Let's look here. Yeah, stochastic is below 30 for quite a bit. All right, then we get that move forward, a little pullback, and bingo, first signal. Okay, looks good. All right, let's see. Our stochastic is above 70, so that's the reset for short signals, and then we get the then we get our pullback on the stochastic below 50 and our first short signal. All right, there we go. Looks good. And there we go. Nice clean signal right there. Nice clean short. All right, I think we have it. I think we have it for the first signal. Right, we've got that logic all set up. So let's work on the second and third signals now. All right, let's start focusing on this. Yeah, let me rename this signal blocker here. We'll call this the first signal as well. There. All right. So there's our logic so far. Not too bad. All right, so moving on to the second and third signal here. Let's see. So the first signal has to have occurred. Yeah. So the prerequisite is that we have to have this first signal firing off. So let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that first signal into a toggle node. So this toggle node, plug that in. Let me kind of zoom in here. There, so our toggle node is basically holding on to that first signal. So let's see here. All right, yeah, so we actually had a first signal way back here. So it's holding on to this first signal way back here. Let's take a look at that. Yep. So there we go. There's our first signal. Yeah, we can see the stochastic just moved above 50, right? Little pullback, first signal, bingo. And let's see, we didn't get any. There was no second or third signal. Yeah, the stochastic happened to move below 70 on these reversal bars here, so no second and third signal. But kind of getting back to the toggle node. So we want this toggle node to hold on to the first signal and just identify that or extend that condition forward, right? So there's the first signal. And let's go ahead and mark this. There we go. First signal. Now we want to take this condition and extend it forward until our second or third signal occur, right? Now, of course, if our stochastic, right, goes into the reset zones, then we want to turn that toggle node off. And we can do that. So let's remember, this is our threshold. This threshold solver, right? So this one here is actually being used for a reset situation. So let's plug it into the reset for the toggle node. And if we go to the toggle node, if we look at the resets here, again, remember the toggle node is in a long state, right? The toggle node is giving us a long output, or it's holding on to this long output. So what's the signal for our reset? Remember, I put this red square because it's a short, right? So what are we doing here? Let's take a look at that threshold solver one more time. So this is what we're looking at, right? We're getting a short output here. This short signal is what's going to reset. It's going to reset the toggle node when it's in a long state. So what are we doing? We're using an opposite signal. Remember, so when this short reset signal is opposite the long output of the toggle node. So this opposite signal will force the toggle node off. We'll turn it off. Like so. Perfect. Let's take a look at the chart. Right? First signal, we hold on to this. Actually, no, the rules don't say anything. So yeah, so I guess yeah, this after the first signal, we just hold on to that, hold on to it, and wait for a second and third signal to occur. So right until we have a reset condition here. Right, so our stochastic goes below 30, and so we know that we're resetting the long setups. Right, we're resetting those long setups again, and waiting for this first signal to fire off again. Right. So there we go. So here's more of an ideal situation. So a first signal comes in. So we know the first signal comes in. So we'll hold on to this long state and wait for the second and third signal to occur. Right. So this toggle node is basically it's acting like a filter here. Right. So we want to make sure that we get the first signal first, and then the second and third afterwards. So. Now, this actually may not be necessary, but we'll use it for now. So, yeah, this toggle node may actually not be necessary. Not sure. We'll find out later on as we start building more of the system here. So, right, it could be, based, this trade setup, it could be that a first signal always happens first, and then the second and third. Well, actually, no. Let's see. Yeah, I guess the first signal could occur above the 70 threshold. Right, so looking at the rules for the second and third signal, it requires a stochastic above 70. But I suppose that the first signal could also occur above 70. It doesn't, right? So, yeah, so I guess I'm starting to think we do actually need that toggle node. So, yeah. All right, anyways, so first requirement, right, for the second and third signal is we need a stochastic above 70. And it needs to remain above 70. So we have our solver here that looks for, right, that looks for the stochastic above and below 70. All right, so there we go. So we can utilize this one again. So what we'll do is we'll grab an AND node. We can plug that toggle node in there. Plug that threshold in there. All right. So this threshold's getting we're getting quite a bit of use out of this threshold here. So it's pulling some extra duty work there. All right. So what's so we've got an AND node here. So what's coming out of this AND node? Essentially, what's coming out of the AND node is is rule 2A. All right. So this is 2A coming out of here. So this is kind of like the prerequisite, right? So this is 2A, the prerequisite for the second and third signals here. So let's see, let's name this for now. We'll just call it 2A. And then simply put, we're just going to enter on the first two reversal bars. So, so let's see, what reversal bars. So if we scroll back here, there we go. So we have, remember this inflection solver back here. It's looking for reversal bars. So, yeah, let's see. Originally I called it 1C, but we're actually going to utilize it again for 2B. So let's just add that in here. 2B. There we go. 1C and 2B. So what I'll do is I'm going to add another copy of that node there, right? 1C and 2B, the price inflection solver. Plug that in. So, you know, here's another little tip that doesn't get mentioned a lot, but remember there's a name and there's a description area here. So we can actually use this description area. We can delete all that text in here and put a description in there, right? So this is reversal bars as well. So the more complex your system gets, you know, the more I suggest that you take advantage of using the names and using the descriptions, right? Very important there. So also you can take advantage of let's see, not that one, but this description area here, right? So you see the little triangle that exposes this description area, so you can provide descriptions for your logic templates. So this description area will match whatever logic template you're using here. There you go. Just another little tip there. Write yourself some notes. All right, let's see. Let's get back to the signals here. So let's take a look. So what do we have? There we go. So the first signal, right, that one skipped over. And then we have the second and third. And of course, fourth and fifth and sixth and so on and so on and so on. Right? Yeah. So we need to get rid of these extra signals here. Anything past the third one, we want to get rid of that, right? So let's work on that. So what are we doing? We're going to get rid, we want to get rid of those signals right there. So let me just take a look at the rules here. So rule A, let's see, our stochastic needs to go above 70 and remain above 70. All right. So unfortunately, the rules don't mention what happens. You know, what happens in this situation? Does that invalidate the second and third signal? So I guess so, because it says, you know, it must remain above 70. So yeah, I guess yeah, I guess I'll yeah, let's make this a requirement here. So it remains above 70. So in other words, if our stochastic dips below 70, then that will nullify the second and third signal here. So that doesn't happen on right here. That doesn't happen in this situation. So let me see if we can find that. Let's see if I can find that. Interesting. Look at this. So there's our first signal, and the first signal actually qualified for. It actually qualified. It qualified in the same logic as the second and third signal, right? Because our stochastic is below 30. So, kind of glad I found that here. Right? So remember, this is our first signal. That's actually... There we go. 1, 2, and 3. One way to mark them. Yeah, so we actually don't want... we don't want this to be marked as a second and third signal. Remember, so what we're looking at coming out of the AND node is supposed to be right. The first and actually this AND node is actually no longer just 2A. It's actually kind of just number 2, or the second and third signal. So there, second and third signal. Yeah, so this should just be the second and third signal. So we actually need to get rid of this signal here because this is actually the first signal. Right, if we take a look back here at our signal blocker, which is our first signal, right? There we go. So we can see it's marked on the chart there, our first signal. So how can we fix that? Well, the way we can fix that, if we look at our toggle node, see our toggle node turns on with the first signal. So how about if we turn the toggle node on 1 bar later, 1 bar afterwards? So that way the toggle node is not turned on at the same bar or at the same time as the first signal. Right? So let's move that forward there. Let's disconnect that. And what I can use is a lookback node. And I'm going to use the displacement feature, right? It's already turned on, it's set to 1, which is exactly what I want. I want to use a displacement of 1, and essentially what that does is that adds a 1 bar delay. Right, so this acts as a 1 bar delay. If we take a look at it, so looking at the signal here, right? So instead of the signal being on the reversal bar, it's pushed forward 1 bar, right? We moved it forward 1 bar. So now, therefore we can turn the toggle node on 1 bar late, 1 bar afterwards. I shouldn't say late, but 1 bar afterwards. All right, so now let's take a look at the toggle node. Yeah. So there's the reversal bar, our first signal, and now the toggle node turns on afterwards. Right, turns on 1 bar afterwards. So now coming out of the AND node, there we go. Let's expand the chart here. So there. So now the first signal bar is no longer marked. Remember what happened was, the reason why we had to do that is because our stochastic is below the 70. So the first signal was below 30. Sorry. So the first short signal was below 30, which is the same rules as for signal 2, 2, and 3. Right? So the requirements here for the second and third signal, right, where the stochastic has to be above 70 or below 30, well, those requirements were met actually for the first signal. So that's why we had to go and do this little extra work here. Right? So, all right. So this just kind of illustrates that as you're building something, right, you just kind of slowly improve your system, right? There's no way that you're ever going to get it built correct the very first run through, right? You're always going to keep improving it, adding little, extra pieces of logic, little extra filters, and, little extras to your system as you're building it. Just constantly improving it. So, all right, so we took care of this. So let's see, what was I looking for here? Oh, right. Okay, so what I was looking for is the second and third signal. I was looking to see if the stochastic ever dips, if the stochastic ever dips inside this, in between this 30 and 70 area here, right? Because what was I trying to find? I was trying to find a situation where that stochastic does not remain above 70 or does not remain below 30. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for that stochastic to dip into this middle area, right? Middle area for the second and third signal. So, all right, let me keep scanning through here. All right. I think I found it. So let me mark this here. Right there. So we have a second signal, and then our stochastic rises above 30, right? So it's not remaining below 30. So I would say, according to the rules, we need to basically nullify or cancel out the third signal here. Okay, let's kind of take a look at things here first. So I'm looking at the first signal. Let's find that first signal. There we go. There's our first signal. And there is our second signal. All right, second signal. And that would be the third signal, but we're going to cancel this one out. There we go. All right, so we're going to cancel out that third signal because our stochastic did not remain below 30. Right, so here you go. This one little key piece of wording here on 2A. Must remain above 70 or below 30 for in a short signal situation. So we need a way to turn off the toggle node. Right, so remember this toggle node is kind of like, think of the toggle node as a permissive. This toggle node is a permissive. So once our first signal, once we get our first signal, then we turn the toggle node on as our permissive to now start looking for the second and third signal. But right, if we turn the toggle node off when our stochastic here, when our stochastic violates this requirement here of remaining below 30 or above 70, right? When that violation occurs, then we'll turn the toggle node off, and then the permissive is gone for the third setup. Right. Let's see. Although, let's see, that's going to get a little tricky. Yeah, it's going to get a little tricky because, it's going to get a little tricky, right? Because our stochastic is clearly above 30, way over here. So we don't want to turn that toggle node off too soon. All right, so what we're going to need is another toggle node. Once our second signal occurs, we'll have to turn on another toggle node, or maybe a signal extender. I guess we'll do a toggle node in this case. Yeah, we'll turn on another toggle node as the permissive for the third signal. Yeah. So this AND node will turn it into the second signal only. Second signal only. So how do we do that? Well, we'll just stick a signal blocker in there. And our other signal blocker was blocking for like 300 bars. So, well, I guess we'll have to set this one up to block for 300 bars as well. Right? So, because the second signal could literally occur just a few bars after the first signal. Right? That is definitely a possibility. So, so we'll have this signal blocker blocking for 300 bars as well. And let's give this a name here. And we will need to set up our resets here. So let's see, in the other signal blocker we were using the reset opposite signal. So set that to true. And then I'm going to grab that stochastic that was sitting over there. So let's expand this out here. So remember, these two nodes are the same node, right? They're the same threshold solver. And make some changes here. Just going to do this just so I have a nice, cleaner kind of look here. There we go. I'll rearrange this a little bit. There we go. That way it just looks a little cleaner. There. So, the big test. Take a look at this signal blocker, and we should only excuse me, we should only see second signals coming out of this. So here, let me close this to save. So remember, whenever you close your BloodHound interface, it always saves your work back to the file. So I've done quite a bit of work here without saving this. So let's close this BloodHound and save that back to the file. All right, now let's take a look. Okay, so great, as expected there, we only have the second signal marked now. So let's scroll back here, take a look at some of these others. Let's see. I guess I do need to mark some of these here, right? There's the first, and that would be the second. Yep, a first and a second. All right. And this would be a second. So let's see, that was the first. That would be the second. And we definitely have a third down here as well. All right, perfect. First and our second one's marked. And let's see. Oh, that's right. Yeah, so there is our first right there. And that is our second. All right. That looks correct. And there we go. So this one's definitely correct. All right. So far, so good. Let me scroll back to where I was. There. Okay, so now we can work. Well, actually, no. We need to work on generating the third signal before we actually cancel it out. So let me, excuse me. Here we go. We'll work right here, and we'll focus on getting this third signal working here. So let's get BloodHound open here. Okay, so we have our second signal coming out of this signal blocker. There we go. Coming out of the signal blocker is our second signal. And so we're now going to feed the second signal into a toggle node, right? Just like we did here, right? We took our first signal and fed it into a toggle node. So remember, the toggle node is the, think of that as a permissive for this second signal to set up. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to kind of repeat this process here. So let's grab a Lookback node. So this is going to be our 1 bar delay. And next we'll grab a toggle node, plug that into there, right? So you can see, see how this process here, or this this logic kind of set up right there. Right, what I'm doing is I'm just repeating that right here, repeating that right there. And let's see, so the toggle node, our first toggle node, I'm going to take a look at the settings here. So I had the on opposite signal set to force on. So let's do the same thing. Grab this toggle node and the on opposite signal. Set it to force off, like so. And then let's remember to plug our reset in there. All right, so let's take a look at this toggle node. And pull the chart up. Great. So, after the second signal, that toggle node turns on afterwards, and so that this is our permissive for that third signal to possibly set up, right? So, okay. So that looks good. And what we're going to do is, remember, so we basically have a model to go by here, right? So we have a toggle node going into an AND node with our price inflection solver and also our stochastic kind of filter here. So we'll just build the same logic here. We're just going to build the exact same logic. Plug that toggle node into the AND node, and I'll grab another copy of the price inflection solver there, right? Our inflection solver. There we go. So remember, this solver and this solver, they're both the same solver, just represented twice. You know what? These leaders are getting awful long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another copy of this stochastic filter on the chart here. So there we go. Existing nodes. There is our stochastic 3070 solver. So let's plug that into the reset and plug that into the AND node. There we go. And we will need a signal blocker again. So remember, for the second signal, we have a signal blocker here. So let's grab another signal. Oops. That was a signal extender. There we go, a signal blocker. Plug that in there. Now, we're getting quite a few signal blockers in here, so this might be pretty, this might start getting pretty intensive, for the calculations needed. So, to help out, instead of doing 300, I'll knock this down to 290. Hopefully knocking it down by 10 bars shouldn't affect the signals. And let's get the resets set properly. Let's see, we were using the reset opposite signal. There we go. Turn that one on. Okay. Let's do some renaming here. Okay. There. All right, let's take a look at the third signal. All right, so we can see it definitely is taking the computer a little time to calculate that out. There. All right, so let's close BloodHound. And all right, so we definitely have our third signal marked, but we have some extra signals marked afterwards. So let's see what happened here. Let's see, I'm thinking I might, oh yeah, there we go. I had the, I forgot to turn off the reset signal here. There we go. Let's turn that off. And now everything looks correct. Yeah. There's our third signal. All right, and nothing afterwards. Again, our third signal marked. There we go, the third short signal. Looks good. Scroll forward on the chart. All right, we had 1 and 2, but yeah, we didn't have a third set up there. Let's see. Yes, right there. There's our third signal marked as expected. Yep, okay, that's all we have. And let's scroll back on the chart. Yeah, there's 1 and 2, and there was no third signal back here. But here we go. Okay, so second signal, and remember we're trying to get rid of this third one, and we want to use this criteria here. So remember, if the stochastic moves into this middle area, right? So if the stochastic moves above 30 or below 70, if it moves in this area here, that will invalidate the second and third signal here, right? So remember this key wording right there. That key wording here is what we're trying to factor in. All right, yeah, so so let's see, let's take a look at our logic. So what we need to do is, right, we already have one solver here that's doing some resetting, right? Resetting our toggle nodes here. So we're going to need another solver. We're going to need another check, right? We're going to need another check to see if our stochastic, right, moves into this middle area above 30 and below 70. Right, so we need to check for this. Let's see. Yeah, we need to check for that. I guess. Yeah, we'll have to check for that for the third signal here. So definitely. So what am I thinking here? So we have the first signal, right? So the first signal can definitely happen inside of this, middle area of the stochastic. So we can't check to see if the stochastic is above 30 yet, right? We have to wait at least until we get the second signal, right? So before before the second signal happens, our stochastic is definitely going to be in this middle area. So we don't want to kill that second signal. We'll just, we can only kill the third signal. So so what that means is we'll build another solver to reset our toggle node, based on this requiring the stochastic to remain above 70 or below 30. So so how are we going to do that? Let's grab another threshold solver. Here we go. Let's connect that in. Connect it to the result node. Okay, so let's see here. What to call this? So this is the stochastic is what? It's greater than 30, and less than or below 70. There. Okay. Little bit technical, but it provides a nice short name here. Okay, so we're looking for the stochastic to be greater than 30 and less than 70. That's what we're looking for here. So let's plug in our indicator. Let's go find that stochastic. There it is. All right, adjust our settings like so. Again, the %D is selected for us, so we're good. Just hit the OK button. All right, so the outputs we want should be something like this. Okay, let's take a look. So what I'm looking for, right, is when our stochastic is in this middle area, I want a signal coming out, right? There we go. So as soon as the stochastic, right, moves outside, moves below 30, no output from the solver, right? I want to make sure there's no output from that solver. I'm only interested in identifying when the stochastic moves in between 30 and 70, right? So I'm looking for the stochastic to be between 70 and 30. That's what I'm looking for. So I was going to put between, but it's going to be an awful long name. Okay, so here's our reset, and so I need to get. Let's open that up. There we go. So I need this reset, and also this reset condition, because remember I still need to use this one. This still needs to go into the toggle node as well. But I need both of these solvers, right? I need both of these solvers here to reset this toggle node. Right, so how do we do that? Well, what we're going to use is an OR node. So we're going to grab an OR node like so. Plug that in there. Plug both of those solvers into it. And let's disconnect that. And we're going to plug the OR node into the toggle reset. Right, so there we go. So that's how we can get two different reset kind of reset requirements, right, into a function node, right? So into this toggle node here. Okay, so if that all worked out right, let's take a look here. And so far, looks good. No third signal. No third signal there. Okay, so let's scroll through the whole chart here. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. All right, so we're at the end of the chart, and let's scroll back. And let's take a look. Great, our third signal. And remember, these extra signals here are missing. Those are gone. Those are crossed out, and we're left with that third signal. Looks good so far. Here we go. Third signal. Looks good. Our stochastic stayed below 30. Looking good. All right, third signal there. Absolutely. Looks good. Let's see, we did have a second, and we did, yeah, there was no third follow-up signal. All right. Yeah, this third signal was removed. Looks good. And let's see, what do we have here? All right. Let me mark these signals here. And then we'll just confirm them. There we go. All right, so we have those third signals marked, and let's confirm with BloodHound. Let's confirm the first and the second signals. So let's get BloodHound open. All right, scrolling out. So I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom out here. And let's find our first signal is way back here. There we go. Let's connect that in. We'll go to the chart. All right, first signal, let's see here. So our stochastic, that's above the 50, and there's our first pullback above 50. Yeah, this first pullback actually dipped below 50 a little bit there. So, all right. Okay, so we have them marked. Our first signal's marked. Both of them look correct. Let's check the short one here. All right, yeah, so we had price made a nice deep down move, and then finally our stochastic makes this little retracement. Yep, for the first signal. Okay, that looks good. There, let's find the second signal. That's coming right there. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit so we can read the text. There we go. So there's our second signal coming out of the signal blocker. And let's take a look at the chart. And okay, it looks good. Yeah, it looks like that stochastic just barely stayed above 70. Just made it. And there we go. There's our second short signal. All right, looks good. So now the last step is, how do we see the first, second, and third signal all at the same time? Well, that's what the OR node is for, right? Everything plugged into the OR node, comes right out of the OR node. So let's take the first signal, plug that into the OR node. Right, there's our first signals on the chart. Let's plug the second signal into the OR node. Right, there's our first and second signals coming through the OR node. And lastly, let's take our third signal, plug it in there. And, all right, waiting for the calculation to come through. There we go. All right, first, second, and third signal coming in. So, all right, let's close this out and save it. And let's take a look through the chart. All right, these all look correct. Yeah. So, stochastic moved above 50, and we get that little pullback and a reversal bar. All right, looks good. Yeah. Same with that short. Yep. And let's see, these shorts, number 1, number 2, looks good. Yeah. All right, these longs here, yep, look good. 1, 2, and 3 as expected. Same thing over there, number 1 and number 2. All right, looks good. And let's see. So I'm just wondering, no short signals. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we got our short signals way back here. There we go. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Okay, looks good. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. Looks good. And yeah, just a one short signal there. All right, looks good. And 1 long signal. Yep, our stochastic went below 70, so no second and third. All right. Let's see our shorts. Yeah, there we go. There's 1. And stochastic went above 30, so no second setup there. Yep. So there we go. We got the second signal set up a little bit later. And here we go. All right. So first, so this didn't qualify as the second. Yeah, actually the stochastic went above 50, so definitely didn't qualify. And this one, the stochastic was not below 30 yet. And there it's below 30. Okay. All right. So we basically have, right, the core of the logic set up. And at this point, you can now basically play around with the finer points of these kind of filters or these requirements here, right? So like for signal 1, right, the stochastic has to be above 50. For signal 2, the stochastic, for signal 2 and 3, it has to be above 70 and remain above 70. You know, so all that can be kind of adjusted, you know, according to the resets here, right? So remember, we have, you know, all these resets. Actually, we have 3 resets here. If I kind of move them all, not 3, but zoom in here. So remember, we're using the same resets here over and over and over again. This is the only, this solver here represents a new kind of filter, right? Remember, this is the stochastic. If the stochastic goes between 30 and 70, this is, right, a different reset, whereas this is just making sure the stochastic is above 70 or below 30, right? The stochastic has to be on the outer edges, right? So if you want to kind of tweak the rules, all you need to do is tweak your solvers here. You know, just make new threshold solvers to adjust your kind of, basically, I guess you would call these like cancellation kind of filters, right? To cancel the signal, various ways of canceling the signal. So, right. Actually, let's see. This first one here actually is, sorry. This one is actually the main reset for the first signal. Yeah, this is the main reset for the first signal. This is kind of like the global, actually, yeah, this is kind of the global reset. So if we pull up the rules, that's rule number 3. Yeah, so this one here is kind of like rule number 3. That is rule number 3, which is, you know, I guess you could coin it as kind of like more of a global, well, that would be more of a trend reset. Yeah, kind of like the bigger trend reset. Right, so this one is what allows signal number 1 to fire off in the first place, or basically reset itself. The filter, so let's pull this back up here. Yeah, so basically 1C is really kind of it's kind of like the last filter for the first signal of, right, just saying the stochastic has to remain above 50, right? That's going back here. That's really this guy. Let's see. Yeah. So this is really kind of the stochastic above or below 50 filter. So if you really needed to tweak the filtering for the first signal, that would be adjustment. That would be an adjustment here, right? And the important thing is, you know, setting. Let's see, how do I phrase this? Yeah, so if you wanted to make adjustments to rule 1C, that goes into this last AND node, right? So you can make a new threshold solver and connect it into this AND node, you know, right? You would disconnect this threshold solver into this AND node, and, you know, create a new threshold solver and plug it into this AND node in place of this one. I think this one is still necessary for this AND node and this signal extender. So yeah. All right. Well, with that, let me just kind of clean this up, and I'll go to the chat board here and see what kind of comments or questions we have on this. So, all right. Let's see. Let's see. Scott is saying equal to 50 is fine. All right. Well, Scott, since this question came from Neil, I'm gonna keep it the way it is. I don't want to tweak this. Yeah, since Neil's not in the room. Let's see. Scott's also asking. All right. So taking the signal that failed around 8:17. I guess as long as the long reversal bar closes above 50, even if it dips slightly below 50. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see here. Let's go find that. So around 8:15. All right, I'm not sure where that was, or which day, I mean. So let's see here. 8:17. Must be this one, yeah. It must be that one there. Yeah, that's at 8:17. Yeah, let's see what happened here. Yeah, so that stochastic just ever so slightly dipped below 50, even though Ninja's output says it's 50. It's, that's the thing, is Ninja Trader rounds up, right? But when you're when you're actually kind of building systems, the logic doesn't round up like Ninja Trader's display does. So yeah, so let's see, how can we account for this one? Let's see. All right, so I've got I have the first signal plugged into our result node, so we can just focus on that. Yeah, so right now that is actually becoming the first signal, and yeah, if we wanted to actually say 50 is 50-ish 50-ish is okay. Let's see, how can we, where do we make that adjustment? Let's see, that would have to be, yeah, that would have to be this solver here. So yeah, all right, I think I found a simple solution. I think so. Essentially, this threshold solver, it's only looking at one value, which is a 50 level, right? A 50 threshold. So since it's only looking at one value, one threshold level, a nice simple solution is, I think the comparison solver is going to work for us in this case. So let's plug that in. Let's see, I'll zoom in here a little bit. So let's give this a name here. All right, so we're looking to see if the stochastic is above or below 50, 50-ish. Let's see. And let's see if I can put the tilde in there. There you go. So approximately 50. So there you go. So let's see. Let's set this up. All right. So input A, we want that to be our fast stochastics. So let's go plug that in. All right. There we go. Oops. 3 and 100s are settings. All right. We're looking at the D plot. Click OK. Now input B. That is going to be the 50 level, or in other words, a fixed value. So let's plug 50 in there, like so. All right, so there we go. So this looks an awful lot like the comparison solver. Let's move this back here. Let's go back here. There. All right, so if we take a look at this comparison solver, and if you look at the chart, you'll notice nothing changed. Look at the outputs. I'm going to take this new comparison solver, connect it to the result node, and right, no change. So everything looks the same. Now, the reason why I'm using a comparison solver is because we have this difference amount here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the measurement from ticks to points. Right? So the reason being is that the stochastic indicator doesn't move in ticks. It doesn't really move in points either, but the stochastic moves in, I guess, whole units of of 1, which is more closely related to points. Remember, a tick is a fraction of a point, all right? But the stochastic indicator doesn't move in fractions of anything, right? The stochastic is just a value. So therefore, indicators, the indicator value of the stochastic or something like the MACD, indicators basically move in whole values, well, in absolute values, which is more closely correlated to points versus ticks, which would be a fraction of, a value. So I'm going to change both of these to points, and let's say we want to allow the stochastic to move like half a point, or just a half. So I could put in here 0.5 on here and put in 0.5 on there. So now we can allow the stochastic to move basically half of a value past that 50 line. So we're not done yet. So right, there's actually no output on this bar in question. There's no output yet, and that's because we need to adjust. We need to adjust the output settings here. So the whole reason why we're using the comparison solver is we have this A equals B, and you can see it says now within half a point. So if we turn that on, like so, and now if, let's stretch this out. So now, let's stretch that out. If we look at BloodHound BloodHound's giving us a long and a short at the same time. Right? So that's because the stochastic is within a half a value of the 50 line. Let me see if that happens anywhere else. Actually, here we go. Happened again right there. Interesting enough. Yep. Let's see, not quite there. Yeah, well, okay, I'm sure it doesn't happen all that often, so I think the point has been made. So let's get back to this point here. Let's see. So with this new requirement, let's see. Yeah, let's see. This might be. I think we're going to have an issue with the signal extender. Yeah, let's see. All right, so we have to figure out. We're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out a good, another way to reset the signal extender. So, if we look at our signal extender here, looking at the resets, what is it? This reset opposite signal is what we're using. And right, so we're looking at the outputs that's resetting our signal extender, and we can see that it is right. It is this short signal. It is this short signal that is being used to reset the signal extender. And if we look at our new comparison solver, it also has a short signal as well. So we need to remove that short signal, so that our signal extender doesn't get reset, at least not yet, right? So we want to allow this. We want to allow this one situation, as an exception. So we need to get rid of that short signal on this bar, so it doesn't reset our signal extender. So how can we do that? Let's see. Yeah, we can use the long-short modifier, I believe. Let's see. All right, so I'm just trying to figure out what mode do we want. I think this is gonna take a combination of modes here. So essentially, I'm just gonna experiment until I get the result I want. there we go. Okay. So what I did, I had to do some Boolean logic here. So what I've done is I've identified, right, this bar that has the short signal on it, right? It actually has a short and a long on it. So I've identified that with the long short modifier, and then using some Boolean logic, I was able to remove that. So there we go. I was able to remove it. So yeah. So again, that removed that short signal. So that way, that short signal doesn't reset the signal extender. So really, this OR node is going to be used as the reset there. Right. Yeah, so we could see if the stochastic moves too far past the 50 line, then we do get, right, a short signal coming out that'll reset our signal extender. So all right, let's see, let's give this long short modifier a name here. Let's see. So what is this identifying? This is identifying the StochasticsFast at approximately the 50. Yeah, that's kind of what this is doing here. All right. So now the key is the key is to get this all substituted in. Let's see. Actually, I think, yeah, maybe we could just do something simple like this. Plug that into the reset there. Okay. Let's take a look here. So we don't have the signal extender forward onto the reversal bar. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's see. Yeah, I think we need to. So this threshold solver, right, requires the stochastic to be absolutely above or below 50, right, going into this AND node. So let's see, let's label this AND node here. This AND node is, what's it identifying? Let's see, it is 1A and 1B. Actually, it's 1B. Yeah. This AND node is rule 1B. So let's put that in there. 1B. There we go. Okay. So we need to modify the rules to 1B. And like so. All right, let's take a look now at the chart. There we go. So there. So we have our retracement of the, well, actually it's a retracement of the stochastic. And then, so this is rule 1B. And so, yeah, so we have our retracement, and so we've identified that retracement, and we're holding on to it until we get the reversal bar, basically until we get 1C. And so let's see. Well, yeah, this AND node is labeled first signal, which is also 1C in our rules. Yep. So, all right, let's actually take a look at the first signal here. Let's see what we get. Hold on, let me close BloodHound there and save that work. Okay. So, all right, so there we go. This actually becomes the first signal, and then this back here, yeah, that basically doesn't occur. That doesn't set up for signal 2 and 3. So there we go. Let's mark that. There we go. First signal. And yeah, there we go. All right, let's see what other effects that might have had. All right, yeah, those look pretty standard. And that one looks standard. That's short. Yeah, let's see, that first signal, definitely, that's a pretty standard one. All right, there's our little exception. That one came through. And let's see, that's short, and that's standard. That long, typical, short, yeah, looks good. Yeah, I guess we're not going to find, oh, let's see. No, actually, I think this, yeah, I think that long actually showed up the other way as well. Yeah. Let's see, that's short. Yeah, that looks pretty typical, well below 50. Yep, that long, that's above 70. All right, first short, that's below 30. Yeah, we're probably not going to find any other situations. Yeah, you know, these, yeah, we can see the stochastic cross that 50 quite a bit. So those definitely would not qualify. Yeah, that long's definitely above 70. All right. Yeah, probably not going to find any other situations. Oh, no, here we go. Yeah, so this could be one. There we go. Yeah, maybe, yeah, this short might have gotten through due to that change. It's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but that adjustment might have allowed that short through. Yeah, all right, there we go. All right, let's finish. Let's finish connecting everything up correctly here. So, all right, we're just letting the computer process the calculations here. There we go. All right, well, let me clean up my drawings. There we go. Okay, so with that, let me see if there's any questions on this. I think we'll try and wrap this question up here. So let's see here. All right, yeah, so Scott's saying, still want it to be above 50 when the signal is taken. Yeah, definitely imagine that. So if we take a look at the logic here, open that up. So, right, so this AND node here, right, which the first signal comes out of, it has this threshold solver, which does require to be above 50, you know, right? So we're using greater than 50 is what we have turned on for the outputs here. Greater than 50. All right, so that is a requirement for the signal there. For the first signal, I should say. Yeah. All right, let's see what else is on the chat board. All right, that was it. All good. Okay, well, gentlemen, it's only 2 survivors left. Actually, Bob's probably not there. He's probably just recording this. All right, well, any last questions, gentlemen? With all that, I'll begin to kind of wrap this up. Save today's chart template. All right, there's the chart template. All right, good. All right, well, Scott, with that, yeah. Again, if you'd like a copy of the BloodHound files today, you can just email us and we'll get those out to you right away. Yeah. All right, so with that, that'll conclude today's workshop. So, all right, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Blackbird workshop. All right, guys, otherwise, if I don't see you tomorrow, then have a good weekend. All right, and we'll see you next week maybe. All right, bye-bye.